What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Ask a CISSP episode of The Other Side of the Firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers, shakers, and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. Speaking of which, on today's show, I have Mary Chaney on the podcast. So this has been a long time coming. You don't know that, right? So we met on Aisha's panel, but I have been trying to work with the nerve to have you on the podcast because, like we talked about in the pre-show, you have like 4 or 5 different jobs, right? So I'm just like, when will she have time to get on the podcast? But Aisha, again, Tech Connector, she put us in the same panel. I was like, this is my chance. So, yeah. So I shot invites to you and Trey and everybody else who was on the panel to have you guys on the podcast, and you accepted. So I cannot be more ecstatic. So for those who are currently listening, so 2026, I booked out till April. This is awesome. I'm very humbled to have that happen. However, it's twice the work per week in editing, what have you. So I'm so glad to have you on early in the year. And yeah, so I want to talk about your background, your experience, as well as your ongoing initiatives. Before I do that, though, just to remind everybody, so we are on WDJY 99.1 FM in the Metro Atlanta area, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, and also simulcast on the TuneIn app, so worldwide. You can also hear us on your podcast platform of choice. We have almost just shy of 900 episodes. I think this will be number 900 or 901. So thank you for that. And yeah, so please, wherever you're listening to us, please lock in on that, like, share, subscribe, all that cool stuff. But without further ado, Mary, if you could just break down who you are and what you do.
That's a long story. You said, okay. All right. So we can go back. We go back. All right. So I'll go back to go forward. I'm a technologist. I have my bachelor's degree in information systems from Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm born and raised in Cincinnati. And after graduating from undergrad, a couple of years to save some money, but I went to law school. So I moved from Cincinnati to go to Houston, Texas, where I went to Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and promptly graduated number 2 in my class. The story goes, the origin story of my next step, which is a special agent for the FBI. So the FBI came to Texas Southern to recruit. And so I was like, wait a minute, hold on, FBI. Of course, coming from very humble beginnings, very humble background, first to graduate and do college and do all the things that I'm talking about. I was like, FBI? Well, I don't know anybody in the FBI, and let's try this out. And so I eventually got into the FBI, and they shipped me to Los Angeles, so Cincinnati to Houston. I spent about 3 years in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area before going to the FBI. I was a special agent with the FBI in Los Angeles, and I investigated cybercrime. So this is where the technologist meets the lawyer, and then now investigator aspect of things, where cybersecurity, information security. You'll hear me use the terms interchangeably. They mean exactly the same thing. I'm old school, so I'll say information security. So information security investigations. I was investigating denial of service attack cases. I was investigating what we now call internal threat cases, but back then it was employee hackback, all of those things. Intellectual property rights infringement cases and things of that nature. Cool story, silly story. Me and my daughter watching, I Almost Got Away with It. And there was an episode of I Almost Got Away with It that I actually investigated.
Wow.
But I was part of the investigative team, not the primary investigator. But it was really trippy when you're watching TV. It's like, wait a minute, I know that case. But anyway.
Sounds so familiar.
I'm like, wait a minute.
So not to cut you off, because it's fascinating. So that's why I like for the guests to break it down, because if you just go by the LinkedIn bio, it doesn't give you context. So I was like, okay,
absolutely.
She started out in the FBI and then she pivoted into law. So you were pursuing your law degree and joined the FBI, or you had just finished your law degree and joined the FBI?
Yes, to apply for the FBI back in, I graduated in 99, 2000. I'm dating myself. But you could have an accounting degree, JD, which is what you get when you graduate from law school, and then an accounting degree, language specialty, something else. I don't know what the top 5 is today. probably counter intel. But all that to be said, the JD degree when I graduated from law school was all I need. That's what you get when you graduate from law school. But I wasn't spending 3 years in law school and paying all that money not to be a lawyer. So I paused. I didn't have to get to be in the FBI. I didn't have to be a licensed attorney, but I took the bar and passed the bar in 99.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I know that you're still active lawyer.
I am for all the things that's job one. He's going to put that out.
Right. It's like, that's number one, like what she's currently doing. She's an active lawyer. I feel as though this should be billable time. I'm like, how much do I owe you for this?
For telling my origin story. No. So after going out to LA, investigating a cybercrime, I transitioned out of the FBI in 2008, I believe it was. And I started my first cybersecurity consulting organization. I moved back from Los Angeles to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was doing some consulting. At that time, around that time, HIPAA started to apply to business associates. So HIPAA business associates, meaning people that do business with hospitals or hospital organizations, now had to comply with HIPAA as well. And that's what you'll see consistently with when you talk about the laws, when you talk about compliance, when you talk about privacy. Once the bigger organization has requirements, all of the vendors do. And that's what a business associate is for all intents and purposes. And then as many entrepreneurs do, I had money. And so I had to go get a job. So my first gig was the director of incident response for GE Capital. So I entered my corporate career as an executive. And that makes sense as we now talk about what I'm doing today, but we're going to get there. And so director of incident response, I had e-discovery, I had database security, I had data leak prevention, I had security awareness, all of those things under my purview. And I worked for the CISO. I worked for them about 3 years before transitioning into Johnson & Johnson, where I stood up and ran their security operations center, led a team of 30-something odd folks, and then had another executive role at Comcast, a senior director role. And then I started to, essentially the real story goes, my father passed away and I started to contemplate the meaning of life. What is it that I actually really want to get accomplished with the rest of my life, given the fact that time is one of the things that we have limited amount of space and time and to do certain things. So I can go through the funny story, but I know we only have a short amount of time. But essentially, we moved back to Texas at the recommendation of my two children. I am and still am a single mother of two. They are now 20 and 18. That's actually job one. Job two would be the lawyer. But all that to say, we moved back to Texas in 2000. Well, we moved back to Texas in 2000 and what was that? 17, I believe it was. And I started my own law practice. So I began the cybersecurity law firm of Texas, the Mary N. Chaney PLLC. And that's another entrepreneurial endeavor there. And I was doing fine until COVID. And so like I said, this was 2018. I tell anybody out there that's looking to be an entrepreneur, it's going to take about 2 years for you to be able to stand up on your own and try to make money at doing what you're doing. And so COVID, 2 years, it was 2020. I just signed 2 clients up. I was finally going to be in the black. And then COVID happened and I had to get a job. So I went back in corporate America. I was a director of information security and privacy. I added privacy to my purview, got my CISSP, and I also have my CIPP US. And so that was the corporate journey. I walked away from corporate America, and I will knock on wood again, for good in 2022. And so that's the corporate journey. Now,
so
go ahead.
So let me stop you there, right? Because you've had so many different experiences within the ecosystem that we call, IT and cybersecurity. So I have a million questions, but what kind of aperture do you have when it comes to, okay, you've investigated cyber crimes, right? You have practiced law. You're on the the data privacy side, the regulation and legality side, and then you've also been a director within the corporate sphere, entity of a Fortune 500 or what have you, in the director seat. And so I'll start off with, what is that transition like? Like, is it easy to flip those switches for you, or is it kind of, still a maze? Because usually it's just one person's only purview, right? They pick one of these shoots and they go through it. You've already done the trifecta within, and that's not even talking about what we're going to get into with your current efforts.
Yeah, no, it works for my brain, right? So I have a technical side to my brain. I can speak acronyms. I can speak technology to anyone. And I'm a lawyer and they have their own acronyms. And so one of the things that I always love to do is translate. Because I can sit in a room and when a breach happens, I'm listening to the lawyers, I'm listening to the technologists, and I'm listening to what's going on, and I understand both. It's just like speaking a different language, right? Are you bilingual, or do you speak 2-3 different languages? That's how I view it, and it works for my brain because I'm able to use both halves of it. And so it's easy for me to switch, and it's actually pretty obvious to me when I'm switching between hats.
Gotcha.
But it still works for my brain.
So when it comes to, I guess that would be business fluency, right? So you're very much able to go these different paths, see from different angles. If you were to give someone advice when it comes to which is more important in their career progression, would it be business fluency or would it be technical depth?
Business fluency. And we'll get into that when we start talking about the ecosystem that I've created. But if you are a technologist that doesn't understand business, you are ultimately, in my opinion, useless to an organization when you're trying to articulate why your job matters. Because corporations speak business, they do not speak IT.
Fair enough. So in that regard, so you're like, I guess when it comes to speaking multiple languages, you call that person like a polyglot or something like that. So you're, within the sphere of all of cyber, right? Because there's so many domains, there's so many different things, but you typically, like the SIP people don't really mess with the CISSP management side of the house versus the BSO, who has to kind of articulate between the two of them, but you're able to go up and down the stack and be able to break those things down. So did that kind of make you want to go the route that you currently are going, where you kind of have built a pipeline and an ecosystem? And I'm kind of hinting, like I'm foreshadowing what we're going to talk about. But was that kind of, because you had all these different experiences, did that kind of push you in that direction? Like, well, I understand all of this, right? I understand the tech from top to bottom. So why not, build this ecosystem? Or was it, again, just, kind of like it was presented to you? It was an opportunity that came your way.
So we'll continue with the origin story, right? The origin story of Mike. And so I have 3 companies right now: Mike, Minorities in Cybersecurity, Mike Talent Solutions, and now almost close to getting certification or licensure for the training center, MNC, the Mary N. Chaney Cybersecurity Training Center. So let's go back to the start and where I started and why I started. So remember, I told you my corporate career, I went down that lineage. And I was also on the speaker circuit. I entered the speaker circuit probably about 2012. It might have been before that. No, it was 2012 because that was with my first gig with GE. So as a director for a Fortune 50, you get opportunities to speak at other organizations and in different security type of conferences and things like that. And so one of the things that my boss, James Beeson, challenged me to, he said, Mary, you are one of very few Black women in cybersecurity. As an executive, it is your job, it is part of your responsibility to remain visible. I give him the credit for everything that has come afterwards because he threw down the gauntlet. And I was like, okay. So being on the speaker circuit, I always would get individuals of color coming up to me after I get off stage wanting me to be their mentor. So from 2012 until about 2019, I had massed up to 50, 60 women of color, men of color that I was mentoring on a group perspective. We had our group chat, we had our monthly calls and everything like that. And when we would have these conversations, and the conversations were never about their technical ability. It was always about other things. How do you deal with unconscious bias? How do you deal with flat out racism? How do you deal with not being seen as equivalent to the people that you're talking to? And so 2019 I started, Mike, because there is a key code, so to speak. There are certain things that as an executive I had to learn, and I had to follow my own face that I was trying to give. And it's like many times in many organizations, again, still the only one in the room, only one. I was actually the only Black person in my FBI class. My class of 50 that I graduated from the FBI was the only Black person, male or female, in my class. And so I've always been in a situation where I was the only. And I was like, okay, well, if we give individuals the tools that they need to matriculate beyond the analyst role or a junior level role, and we give it to them earlier on in their career, then maybe they can matriculate up, and maybe I won't be the only one anymore.
Right. No, it makes perfect sense. And I like that your mentor said it's a responsibility to present it within the current zeitgeist to be visible was the terminology you used. And that I mean, that in itself, like, we always say, if you can see it, you can believe it. Again, having a person who is in the seat, who has that experience, and then have the ability to reach out to them, like you said, after a talk or a conference, and ask questions and join your mentee group. So no, that's great that you champion that.
So I started Minorities in Cybersecurity, and at its core, Minorities in Cybersecurity is a leadership development organization. And it was founded on the principle of giving people corporate survival skills, other called soft skills. So we have leadership development courses that we teach, and we've been teaching since 2022. Our organization is broken down into 4 groups. We have the ABCDs of leadership: aspirers, builders, communicators, directors. Aspirers are those that are looking to get into space, looking to transition. They don't know heads from tails what they want to do, but they know they want a cybersecurity career. For them, we have so much content available to them on our YouTube channel. You can go out there and search at Minorities in Cybersecurity and pull up a whole bunch of content. It's called the Mike Lead Aspire Sessions. We have several different content folders and things like that out there. But the Mike Lead Aspire session goes back probably 3 to 4 years now. So there's so much content available there. And then we have our builders. Our Make Lead builders are individuals that are in their first role, and they're trying to navigate the how to build out their career. And for them, we have a 5-month course. It's 11 sessions, and it's literally teaching them, let's just say, verbal communication, right? You want to speak a different language. You come from a different socio-economic background. You get into corporation. This is a foreign language to you. This is what we are trying to teach you. This is what we are teaching individuals within that builders course. Communicators are those that are going from individual contributor to people leader. That transition is difficult when you're used to it being all about me, and all of a sudden it's about we, and getting people to execute on your strategy. That's what we talk about during the communicators course. And the directors course are for those that are looking to be at the director and above. Haven't been able to launch that course due to lack of funding, but I'm hopeful that we'll get it launched in 2027.
No, and that is amazing how robust the organization is. I also saw that you were an adjunct, or you may still be an adjunct, but regardless, within Mike, you are an educator and a leader within it. So whenever I talk to people who teach or have a background in teaching, I always try to slip in matriculation or pedagogy, right? Like, because I don't get to use these words anymore. Because I did adjunct for a brief period of time. I was overseas for 2 years. There was an opportunity. I took it just to come back to the States. And they were like, you don't have enough experience. I was like, but I worked for you overseas. So I see how you've kind of built the platform, and then you're able to upskill and bring people through the pipeline as they progress, or meet them where they're at, and then upskill them. Was this a long process to build all of these different courses and to get them to stack the way that they are stacking, or how did it come together?
Well, Mike, again, what I will tell you, and as we continue on and we get to the current venture, it's a matter of effort. and what you want to do, right? And so, true story, I had a sponsor, Bloomberg, who is still a sponsor of the Mike Lee courses. The gentleman's name, he's the deputy CISO at Bloomberg. His name is Ossie Monroe. And I was thinking about this. Me and him had a conversation about the communicators, those that are high-level individual contributors moving to people leadership and what they needed. And he said, Mary, there's an opportunity there, i.e., you build it, I got you. That's essentially how it translated in my head. And so I went through and he held me accountable. He was like, okay, well, where are you with this? And I said, okay, here it is. And so I have in my brain, based on my experience, what it takes. And so I reached out to some trainers. Again, my effort, I'm fairly busy every third quarter, it seems, doing something. And it's like, okay, this is what I want to see. Went and talked to my peer group. What is it that we need to understand to get to this level? And essentially brought in the trainers. Now, I do not dictate what my trainers teach. I tell them exactly what the mission is. Then this is my leadership style. I tell them what the strategy is. I tell them what is I want to happen, what the results are that I want to happen. And I let them create, because again, trying to micromanage and do all of it doesn't work. And we were talking about that earlier about assistants and stuff like that. So I'm going to throw you under the bus there, Ryan.
Yeah.
But, again, so no, it wasn't that difficult to create it. It wasn't, everything kind of happens like it's supposed to happen, and the stars lined up, and we were able to get a good group of trainers, and we have a great group of trainers in the in the communicators and the builders courses now. So I developed a curriculum for the strategy for the communicators course, as well as the strategy for the builders course, and we just have some great trainers.
Absolutely. And I always find it that the key to great leadership is the ability to, I give you the vision and I find the right people and I hold them accountable as they go through it. So, I mean, delegation, a lot of people shy away from delegation, but it really is the only way to, like you said, continue to grow. So I need to work on that myself. We'll get there, but it's not about me. All right, Mary, it's about you.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry.
Put me on the hot seat. So you have the vision, you have the experience. I find this always fascinating when I talk to serial entrepreneurs. They're builders, right? They're like, I see something that is not there. I see something that can be improved upon, and I don't feel like waiting for someone to make it. So I'll make it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And and grow from there. It might not be perfect, but it'll be something that I've been looking for. So kind of random question, but to piggyback off of your previous experience and now your current experience, which one was more challenging? Is it the corporate America and kind of wading your way through that? Or is it the entrepreneur who is seeking funding to build out what they feel needs to be built that doesn't exist yet?
For me, corporate has always been the challenge because I love cybersecurity. I mean, many of the things that I'm doing within the 3 companies that I run right now are what I was doing for Johnson & Johnson when I built out the Security Operations Center and giving people a pathway to promotion. Because essentially, you have to train and develop. Cybersecurity is a continuous learning profession. You cannot just know one thing and rest on your laurels. This is not retail. This is, you have to continue to be and do better at your craft. You are a LeBron James type of figure, or Tom Brady, or whoever you want to call perfectionist. If you are in this profession, you will continue to get better at it. That's the point. And so those types of conversations and things needed to be had, and it needs to be had earlier, especially those that want to come into the profession. They think they can take a certification exam and they're going to make 6 figures. That's not how this works. But like I said, many of the things that I'm doing within my 3 companies are just how my leadership style was. But corporate America has this politics thing that I'm a serial entrepreneur. I always internally ran my teams like an entrepreneur. We had deliverables. We pushed out different things and products and services and things like that. We had to remain visible to the organizations that we were working in. The politics of it all, the bruised egos, the slights, what we try to teach people, corporate survival skills, the things that made it more difficult for me to be successful in corporate America had absolutely nothing to do with my passion or skill. They had to do with ego or insecurities of the individuals that was up and down the chain.
Right. So to stay in that same pocket then, what separates a good security leader from a board-ready security executive, right? Because those are definitely two different levels.
I don't think so. You can be both. Now, First of all, this is Miss Mary's opinion. That's what my team calls me, Miss Mary. So this is Mary's opinion on what it takes to be a good leader. Never try to fashion the how. As I said, you give people, like I talked about my trainers, I give them a vision. I give them a strategy. I allow them to create, right? Because again, that's what an individual who wants to be successful in their career does. They create. There are people that are task oriented that need to be told what to do all day, every day. And, my journey as a leader is to be able to motivate each individual personality and meet them, where they are, and to be able to motivate them. So as a leader in corporate, you have to know people. Well, what does your average technologist don't do? They don't know people. They're introverted, right? And so I had to develop the extroverted side of myself in order to be able to balance the individual personalities and things like that. So if you can get good at the people, you can get good at the board, because all you're doing is translating what your team is doing from a strategy perspective to the board. And you have to understand how to communicate and where you're communicating to. And what one of the courses that I do teach in the communicators course is, how do you translate a slide deck when you're talking to the board, as opposed to when you're talking to your direct manager, as opposed to you're talking to your employees. It could be the same deck, but you're speaking to different things based on the purview of the person that's listening to you. So a real board level executive, and I have not met a lot of them, is able to translate up and down the stack. Doesn't matter who you're talking to, all the way down to the kindergartner, because that's what you're doing to the board when you're explaining these technical concepts in a very, very explainable way to where they can digest what you're talking about.
So, and I think that's spot on, at least from my experience, right? So I'm still fairly new to corporate. I was, Department of Defense for 20 years of my life. So it was half my life. Now it's slightly less than half my life. So my mentor, he's been in the corporate space, but he was also a chief in the Air Force. He's able to help me understand. Like you're saying, sometimes you'll see something, you'll be like, why? Why are we doing that when we could do X, Y, or Z? Or, because you kind of already know what right looks like. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine how it drives you up the wall. But to stay in that same vein, what are people within the ecosystem, those recruiters that are seeking talent, those hiring managers that are, doing what hiring managers do in our current, 2026 pocket, what's broken? For lack of a better, it's a lot broken, but what do you think is like the key to what's broken? Because you're a builder.
So now we get into my second company or the third company, depending on if you count the law practice, Mike Talent Solutions. So Mike Talent Solutions is an organization, is a traditional recruitment and placement organization, uniquely situated in that we only seek to place the talent that have gone through one of our programs. It is very unique in that the tagline is, we don't gather resumes, we build them. So if I'm giving you a resume, it's someone that I actually have an interaction with personally. And that's important in today's day and age with AI, because what am I seeing? Your question is from hiring managers. Hiring managers are now getting the perfect resumes because those same applicant tracking systems that they were using to say that this person wasn't qualified now takes an unqualified person that said, take my resume and make me fill this role. And now they're uploading that resume, and now hiring managers are 5 minutes into a conversation knowing that this individual doesn't know what they're talking about, doesn't have any clue because they've used AI. So the challenges that are being had by hiring managers is a waste of time, right? And then what's broken with the entry-level pipeline, don't get me going off on a random tangent about that. We did not invest in our entry-level talent. We do not invest like we used to into developing human beings to be what we need them to be. We think we can go to market, and now we're asking entry-level professionals to have 3 years of experience, which is absolutely positively ridiculous because where are they supposed to get this experience? And now we get into the other company, which is the Mary and Chaney Cybersecurity Training Center, MNC-CTC. Not quite licensed yet in the state of Texas, any day now. However, it's a 39-month residency program. So think about the medical profession. If you are looking to get in the medical profession, a teaching hospital is still a hospital. You can still go get services from a teaching hospital. This is a teaching cybersecurity organization, meaning the talent that we bring in, the talent that apply to be in our program, they're getting hands-on experience, but they're also impacting their communities by going out, advising. It doesn't matter what they're doing. They could be having a lunch and learn with some community leaders about the newest vulnerability out there or whatever, this Instagram breach and what that means, all of those types of things. And so we're flipping, these three companies are flipping how you train talent on its head. So your original question, it's a wild, wild west out there in regards to talent. And so now we are essentially creating, and we have an integrated workforce ecosystem that ensures that individuals that are entering into the space get the support. Not only do they get the training and leadership development, but they also have an organization looking out for them for placements. But we also support our talent once placed and we want them to be successful as they matriculate in their career.
So I find that fascinating. It feels as though, because that's phenomenal, especially having the backing of a, very visible, very trusted brand that is Mike, and then pairing it with a pipeline to, it sounds like an infomercial. It really isn't. I'm just thinking out loud. People are like, oh, he's doing the commercial. Like, no,
no.
I find having all these components, like the way that they're all connected to one another, very fascinating. So then you have the pipeline, you're meeting them where they're at, or you're upskilling them, and then having the ability to train and then place, right? Because it's very learned after my retirement from the military is it's not, well, the resume comes afterward, right? It's about who you know and what you've done for them in the past, who can speak to you in those rooms that you don't have access to yet. And this is kind of like the full apparatus. It's all coming together to say, okay, these are people that we know, they really exist. They're not North Korea, right? Pretend to be other people, or they haven't, defeated the ATS system, which, again, like you said, that's a tangent all to itself. But they've been trained, vetted, tested, and now they're trusted, right? And now I can place them and put them into positions where they can then be that mentor or ally to, bring in even more people.
Well, and they get mentorship. Our placements get mentorship. They get coaching. We have the whole full apparatus. So essentially, Mike is leadership development, mentorship, coaching, support. Mike Talent Solutions, placement. We also have a Department of Labor certified apprenticeship program, so we can work with and place people from an apprenticeship perspective. And we also do contract to hire. All of our apprentices, all of our employees are contract to hire. So we have this ecosystem where, okay, we can give them leadership development, we can place them, and now with MNC-CTC, we're able to technically train them. So the 3 years of the cybersecurity residency program, the first year is a generalist. The second year, they're able to specialize. The third year, they can go into something different or or go deeper into their specialization. But organizations that are looking to hire entry level talent, they come to us. We've placed apprentices in organizations, and it's like, okay, this is the training that they've received. This is where they are. There are organizations out there that are willing to give them a shot, and there are individuals out there that are shining and being successful in this space. And again, like you pointed out, it's not who you know or who knows you, right? Or who can speak about you in those rooms. So with the global community that is Mike, we're in 10 countries. We're able to provide you, me, or somebody else that felt lonely when they entered into the profession, a full community of individuals around the US or around the globe that's able to help them as they go in their cybersecurity journey.
No, that's amazing. So it seems from, because I've had a bunch of amazing guests on the show, and they've all fit several of these pieces, right? I don't want to name any names, but they have either a pipeline, or they have an ability to do certifications, or they have the ability to place. But I've never spoken to someone who has all of it, right? So again, that is amazing, and it kind of makes me think more of the trades as opposed to where we're currently at, where it's kind of piecemeal. Like, do you have the right certification, or do you have the right education? Which one's better? I always hate a debate. Do I need a degree, or do I need this, a certification,
right,
or do I need experience? So it brings it all together. I have, I have the talent, again, tested, trusted, and then placed. So no,
and forged in the fire, because they have to deal with me and my personality.
That's awesome. Yeah, I and like I tell people, I always come into these things woefully prepared, because I want to hear it for the first time, like the audience is hearing it for the first time. But I brushed up a little bit. I put on a good polo, because I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I got on the sweatshirt, but it's okay. It's okay.
You're also you also run four or five different companies in 10 different countries. You got to give me something.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. But no, so what does the future look like for Mike? Because I know you said that any day now you'll be certified.
Yeah.
But what is that roadmap for through 2027? What are the KPIs associated with? Like, what are you currently brainstorming that you can share?
Well, we're currently in conversation. Well, we will be, once the school has have its license. We will be running our first pilot of our residency program here in Arlington, Texas, which is Tarrant County, which is where I'm located right now. And then we've been in conversations with other organizations, the organization in Houston and an organization in Los Angeles, about bringing what I'm calling the MNC-CTC workforce, a cybersecurity workforce hub. And so as opposed to worrying about, or as opposed to having quote unquote chapter organizations, we're having workforce hubs. And those workforce hubs are meant to build the community in that local area. So individuals within our residency program, because our program is ultimately remote and our instructors are remote. And so you're receiving this, but the hubs allow us to, in the particular regions, and work with those workforce development organizations in those regions to create individual regional communities that are cybersecurity based, right? And so working in getting access to the individual employers within those regions to be able to bring job opportunities, whether that be contract to hire, direct placement, apprenticeships, whatever, and things like that. So what's next? And like I said, we're waiting, and hopefully by the time this airs, we'll be off and running. But we're hopefully looking for individual organizations that don't have a pathway for cybersecurity within their, whether it be a community college, whether it be workforce board, or any nonprofit or community or K through 12 that have adult learning, right? What we're looking at here is these workforce hubs in individual areas to bring the community to them, because what happens is, once you plug into the residency program, you get your technical training, but you also get a global community, and you get the ability to earn your tuition back by placements. So that's what we're looking at.
Oh, okay. And so that's so when I think of like those areas that you pointed out, so are they going to be, just for my own edification, right? I'm in the Tampa area. And then a lot of listeners who are listening to the podcast are within the Atlanta metro area. So
Yes,
these are
absolutely.
kind of tech hubs. So is it that they will potentially be on the roadmap in the future because they are tech hubs, or because they are tech hubs, they don't really need this type of support within their region?
Everybody needs their support within the region. We have apprentices, we have individuals that have gone through our program, like I said, 10 countries, 32 states, and the District of Columbia. And so therefore that's our target. The places where we have a community already established, and we have individuals in Tampa, we have individuals in Atlanta, Dallas, LA, DC, Maryland, Virginia, Colorado. I can go on and on and on.
Gotcha.
Got a map. And so what this allows us to do is to now expand our workforce solution to the communities that we're already serving. Right. And so, no, they can be considered quote unquote hubs, but there are still organizations that don't know what to do and don't have a pathway to cybersecurity, whether they be a minority serving institution, HBCU, whether they are community college, whatever they are. Because as you know, yes, I was adjunct for the University of Cincinnati for a decade or so. But as you know, a lot of us in the profession don't necessarily give back in that way. Well, MNC-CTC is a community of cybersecurity professionals training the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. All of our instructors, all of the folks on our board, you can go out there and look at it, and I'm sure Ryan will have the links or whatever. They're in the profession. They have all the letters of the alphabet behind their name that people want them to have. So this community is strong. This community is visible and is here to help you.
That's that's amazing, especially the scope and span of it all. So I'm like, man, when you get to Tampa, I want to somehow
you can
right, because it's so much.
Start it. You can start it. I like to put people to work. And it's like, okay, well, tell me where to be. Right. And so it's just making the inroads with the individual communities that we serve involved. Right. And it's connections. It's actually just, who do I need to talk to? And go from there.
No, that's awesome. And you probably caught me looking down. The audience will not see this because I always have it on the speaker, but I was just double checking. So I actually have you guys in the book. So page 163, I have Mike is the number 7 organization in nonprofit. It's alphabetical order, by the way. So it's not based upon how I feel about you, but it was when I was gathering resources. So I was like, I know I put you guys in the book. I just can't remember where you're in the books. Before we move on, just quick plug. So everybody, I got the book right here. So The Other Side of the Firewall. I messed up my camera. Go ahead and pick it up from your retailer of choice, or you can pick it up from theothersideofthefirewall.com at a discount. I have a bunch of amazing guests in there, right? 27 interviews with individuals like Mary. I did not get you in the book, but there is a volume 2 I'm working on. This time around, I want to focus on entrepreneurs. So I talked about how people broke in, what they're doing. And a lot of them are already entrepreneurs, but didn't really we went more into the origin than we went into the evolution of how they built out their business. Be on the lookout for that. As soon as I get some time to sit down and do it, probably when I delegate the production to someone else. Ms. Mary directed me to do. She was like, "You need to get this to somebody else." Man, just like, oh man, I'm just very much, after leaving the military, I'm very much just like, anything I could do. I'm
type A, need to be in control. I know that life. Yeah.
But no, again, amazing conversation. So I want to hit you with a couple of lightning round questions, and then I want to dive into what you're doing outside of all of this. Like I can't understand how you could be doing anything else, but we will find out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rapid fire. CISSP, law degree, or SIP? Which one was more challenging?
The law degree, the Esquire, being an attorney that's 2.5 days. That's 2.5 days of an exam. What are we talking about?
No brainer, right? So I always tell people, I took the PMP and then I took the CISSP. I was like, CISSP was the hardest test I've ever taken. And then you have a whole law degree. So you passed the bar before you got your CISSP. Oh, so
yes.
You're just like,
it was not that difficult. It wasn't.
I've heard lawyers that take tests like the CISSP, the SIP, or any of those management type questions. It's so easy for them because they how they understand language, right? Because like you said,
Absolutely.
legalese is a different language, so you guys are able to dissect it, fairly easy. So I already asked the technical depth versus business fluency. Biggest myth about cybersecurity as a career. What's the biggest myth, do you believe?
That is that it takes a certification to get into this industry. That all you need is a 6-week boot camp, and 6 months later you'll have a job. That's the biggest myth.
Drives me crazy. So not to put him on Front Street. So my best friend James, he is a nurse. He's an RN, and he was looking at pivoting into cyber because of coming out of COVID was rough for all of clinicians,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it was.
But he showed me a boot camp. He was like, "What about this boot camp?" They say, I can take it in 9 weeks and then get a comparable salary to what I have. And I was like, man, if you do that, you just go throw your money away, right? I was like, you have to have, he has the aptitude for it, but you have to have a passion for it. You have to have experience is always going to be king. I was like, you could use a lot of your, background and maybe go into HIPAA or HITRUST
Absolutely.
or SIP and have a leg up. But I was like, if you just want to start from scratch, no, man, don't.
Tell them to come talk to me. I'll get them and we'll work with it.
I will. I will definitely do that. All right. One habit every security leader should build. I think you kind of already covered this.
Well, I don't know. I would say empathy.
Okay.
It is something that, especially with us introverted folks, not something that we naturally do, but it goes a long way in motivation and being a leader.
That's an awesome answer. And I think, a lot of people get away from that, especially when it comes to anything they deem to be technical. They're like, oh, it's just ones and zeros, it's black or white. And it's like, no. Once you see what people are going through, right, from your mom and pop to your mid-sized business, so even your $1 trillion organization, like the bottom line and stakeholders and fiduciary responsibilities, like it's politics, as you have said. There's a lot of human characteristics within cybersecurity, and
it's what is it's that's what we are meant to do is to protect human life, right? Essentially, that's what we do. So don't get me started. You said rapid fire, so stop. I'm gonna stop.
Got you. So before I land this plane, so what do you do outside of building your empire and an amazing legacy, right? With be able to build an ecosystem for people to come into cybersecurity, upskill, so on and so forth. But what are you doing for you or you and your kids or whatever conduit gives you a break or
a break?
Energy.
Well,
whatever's giving you energy to keep doing what you're doing.
I work out from 7:30 to 9:30, 7 days a week. So
7.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Well, I have 2 recovery days. There are 2 days that I'm just chilling in the sauna or that.
Right. Gotcha.
But still, no.
You're still actively doing something.
Yeah, I think that the most important thing to keep the stamina going for me, that's all I really need is to be able, because I can't function well if I don't work out. And so that's what I do for myself. Now, with the kids, we travel, we do our other stuff, we decompress. But right now, first quarter, the MIC conference is March 22nd through 26th. So we're in conference planning mode, and they just started their respective second semesters. And so, it's just more so, what can I do to keep me fresh, to keep me excited? I get excited about what I do every day. It's not work to me. So, I'm working, 12, 14 hours a day, but it doesn't matter because I'm doing something that's very meaningful to me.
No, that sums up for a lot, especially within our kind of sedentary work. Like, yeah, it's good to get up and move and do stuff. And I need to get back to it myself. Like since I retired, I was just like, they're not paying me to work out no more. I'm going to chill, and I can feel it. You can feel.
Yeah, you can feel you got one body. You have one body. You got to keep it moving, right? And whatever you do, even the young lady that I saw in the gym today that was walking at a very interesting pace on the treadmill eating popcorn. At least she was in the gym and walking. Now the eating of the popcorn thing I'd never seen that before. But
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So you spoke about the conference. So before I let you go, are there any upcoming initiatives that we should be aware of? Anything we can register for? Anything that we should be on the lookout for? Like, go ahead and plug away because your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Mike, we have the Minorities in Cybersecurity Annual Conference. This is our 4th year. It's in Dallas, Texas. It's March 22nd through the 26th. It is filled with a lot of fun stuff. The pre-conference events include Top Golf. It includes bowling. It includes, we go to the shooting range because this is Texas and Miss Mary likes to shoot. And so we go to the shooting range. And then first day of the conference, and first and second day look the same. It's filled with panels and discussions. Tuesday night is Family Feud night. It's a family barbecue. And that's a whole hoot in of itself. And then Wednesday night is the talent show, which is a whole nother vibe in of itself. And then Thursday we have workshops. We have 4 workshops this year surrounding corporate survival skills. It's essentially, we're doing PowerPoint basics. I think the other one is managing up and across. We are in conversations about a third one, and the lunch workshop is on health and wellness. And then to end the conference, it's a self-defense workshop. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun last year, and that's our flagship event. That's the one event that we do have that we come together to be together as an entire community. We have folks coming over from the UK, and we have another person coming over from Samoa. So it's going to be a great time to be had. So, and be on the lookout for the announcement on our licensure. Like I said, once we get licensed, we're able to do all the things that I have in my brain that I want to get accomplished and done. So that'll be wonderful as well. So, also with CTC, once we get licensed, we'll have workshops starting in June, on June 13th. They're open to the public. You can register $50 a workshop. We'll have in things like AI basics, and we'll have that listed out on our website once everything gets up and running. So you'll be able to engage there as well. So we're just doing a lot of stuff.
A lot of important work. So just to clarify, when you say self-defense, because you did say self-defense, right? So
I did say self-defense,
like
hand to hand,
physical.
Physical self-defense. We are not talking, listen, we're talking about what do you do if somebody grabs you and you don't want to be grabbed. That's the kind of self-defense we're talking about.
That is amazing. The more and more I talk to other cyber people, like, why do we like beating people up? I hear so much like, oh yeah, I kickbox, I do jujitsu. Like,
I kickbox. Yeah, I work out. I kickbox. Yeah. Because we can't kick the cyber bully, but we can, kick a bag. So it's okay.
That's why they always say, they were so quiet. That person was so quiet. I did see it coming. See, right there. That's why. But no, again, that's awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I'm sure the audience is going to gain so much from this, from our conversation. Definitely continue to hit up all the websites to go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, to pick up your copy of the guide. ramcyber.io, which is my LLC. I'm trying to one day be, serial entrepreneur as well. And then, of course, the podcast. You can find all this stuff either through ramcyber.io, or you can find it on my personal page, ryanwilliamssenior.com. And Miss Mary, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me, the easiest place to get everything is on LinkedIn, and always use my middle initial. My name is Mary. My middle initial is N for Nicole, and my last name is Chaney. You look me up and you'll get everything else. If you are, we're on socials. LinkedIn is but I usually use. My team uses the other one. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Insta under Minorities in Cybersecurity, Mike Talent Solutions, and MNC-CTC. Haven't really launched a lot of that social media presence as of yet. But also, like I said, find me. You can find everything.
There you go. And then everybody continue to listen to us on your podcast platform of choice, as well as on Atlanta Metro's W1 FM. Thank you again for your time. Stay safe. Stay secure.